Hi there and welcome to the day 13 of my 25 Days of Christmas tutorial series. Today I'm going to create 4 cards using just the products from Paper Discovery magazine kit, plus some basic extras like white cardstock, glue and inks for stamping. Although I'm only showing 4 cards today, the magazine included in the kit has 65 inspirational projects to give you some ideas on how you can use the products included. For the first card, I have created a top folding card base out of white cardstock. It's A2 size one. Plus I have trimmed down one piece of paper from the pad that is included in the kit to be slightly smaller so I can have a white border all around the card. There are also a few sheets of labels included in the paper pad, and I have chosen a couple of them. I'm cutting out one of the labels with the scissors. I initially planned to use this one on this card, but then I decided to keep it for the next card. You'll see that later on in this video. Next I'm going to cut out a circle window in my panel. So I have used the circle die set from my stash. This one is not included in the set. Then I'm applying some adhesive at the wrong side of the gray panel, and I'm sticking it onto another label that I have chosen from the set. And you see that the label is a bit smaller than the window, and this way I can have that lovely white border all around. I'm also going to use the small circle cut out of plain white cardstock to create the moon. Then I'm going to stick down that gray panel onto the card base. I really like the color combination on this card, but I think it's missing some texture. So I have decided to use a piece of white cardstock. It's the same width as the gray panel, and I'm placing it inside the embossing folder that is also the part of the kit. This one creates perfect snowbanks. So this is what the embossed pattern looks like. I'm not going to use this entire piece. I'm going to trim it down to create a smaller panel. I'm going to use the craft knife, and I'm simply going along the outline of the hill created by the folder. You can also use the scissors. What I'm doing now is I'm going around the edge just with my finger to kind of curl up the edge of paper outwards, and this way I'm going to have a rounded edge that is similar to the die cut one. So then I'm going to apply the adhesive onto that panel and stick it down at the bottom of my card. All there is left to do now is to add the sentiment, and I'm going to use a couple of words from the stamp set included to say winter wishes. Those 2 words are in different fonts that you can mix and match. And I used Memento Nautical blue ink. So this is the card ready, and I think it would be great as a masculine card. The next card is going to be the birthday one. Again, I'm starting with an A2 size card base out of white cardstock, and this time I'm going to use a blue panel that is slightly smaller. I'm also using the tree die from the set, and I've die cut this image about 17 times, I guess. I'm just going to create the pattern on my card front, so I'm placing all the die cuts onto the blue piece of paper, and then I'm going to use the liquid glue in a precision applicator bottle to stick down all of the die cuts. I'm lifting them up one by one, then I'm applying the glue, placing them back, and I like using an acrylic block to hold down the die cuts. I'm trimming off the die cuts that are hanging off the edge, and then I can use the trimmed off pieces again to stick them down at the other edge of the card. When the entire panel is covered up with trees, I'm applying some adhesive at the wrong side, and I'm sticking down the panel onto the card, and you will also get that white border all around. Here I was trying some labels and deciding which one would look better on the card, and finally I decided that this one is going to be the winner. Although it's the same color as the card, I think it fits the best. I'm backing up that label with a piece of thick white cardstock because I'm planning to mount it. Then I have to cut out the label one more time using the scissors. I'm also planning to add some twine underneath the tag. This way I'm going to add some extra interesting texture, and I'm also going to make the label stand out a bit more against the background, which is the same color. I'm using the hot glue gun to stick down that twine at the wrong side of the tag. Then I just have to trim off the end of the twine, and then I'm applying more hot glue and sticking down that label onto my card like that. Although this is a very simple idea and a color combination, I really enjoy the result. There is a lot of texture, and I think it's my favorite card created with this set. The next card is going to be a bit more complicated, but it's a lot of fun to make. Here I have a piece of acetate that is 5.5 by 5.5 inches. I'm going to place it onto my scoring board and score it at 4.5 inch mark. I'm pressing the acetate down really well so I have a nice crease line. Then I'm going to fold this piece down along that crease line that I have created, and I'm using the bone folder to press down that fold really well. What I should get is a 4.25 by 5.5 acetate panel that has that tab on one side. Now I'm going to place that panel into the embossing folder, and I have the tab sticking out because there is no need to emboss it. Now I'm going to send the folder through the die cutting machine just as I do with the paper. As always, you can find the list of supplies I'm using down below in the description box, as well as on my blog. I'm also going to need two 4.25 by 5.5 panels. One is the patterned paper from the set, and the other one is plain white cardstock. So now I have applied some adhesive onto the tab, and I'm sticking down a piece of cardstock to it. Then I'm going to use the patterned paper. I'm applying some adhesive onto it, and I'm also sticking it down, so this way I'm going to cover up that clear acetate tab, and the tab will be actually trapped between two pieces of paper. So this way I have created a card with the clear front side. Now I'm going to build up a winter scene right on a clear card front. So I'm going to use a piece of white cardstock that is 5.5 inches wide, and I'm placing it into the embossing folder. I only need to emboss a part of it, just one strip, not the entire pattern. And again, I'm using the craft knife to cut along one of the hill lines. Then I'm curling up the cut edge like I did for the first card, and then I'm going to attach this cardstock onto the card front so I can apply adhesive right onto the acetate. And then I'm placing my piece of cardstock on top of it, and I'm making sure that the line on the acetate is the same as the outline on the cardstock that I have. Then I'm going to trim off the excess cardstock to the size of the card, and this is the hill that I have created. The only problem is that the adhesive is visible at the wrong side. To hide that adhesive, I'm going to use another piece of cardstock. Again, it's 5.5 inches wide, and I'm creating the identical heel line. I'm cutting it out, and then I'm going to stick it down at the wrong side. It's going to completely conceal the adhesive, and it also is going to give some more reinforcement to my card. Again, I'm trimming down the excess cardstock. The focal image of my scene is going to be a house. So to create it, I'm going to back up that piece of gray paper with a thick white cardstock. And I'm using the largest die from the set to create the house outline. Then I used the same die to die cut the same shape out of navy blue paper, also included in the kit, and I'm also going to use the roof from the navy blue image. Before I attach the roof, I'm going to do some stamping on gray cardstock, and I'm going to use that window and door stamps that are included in the kit. I'm using the navy blue ink again. This is Memento Nautical blue. You can probably notice that those images are not just outlines, they also have some shading. Well, I did it on purpose. This way you can use the stamps without coloring if you want to. Then I'm going to use the snowflake small stamp from the set to create some texture on the walls. I'm simply applying some light gray ink onto the stamp, and I'm stamping all around the outlines as well as between the windows and the doors, and I'm not even masking off the windows. Then I'm ready to attach the roof piece onto the house. Now, instead of simply sticking down the house onto the card, I decided to kind of tuck it behind one of the hills. So I'm cutting the slit in the front piece of cardstock, and I'm trying not to cut all the layers through. Of course, I should have done that before sticking down that panel, but honestly, I didn't think of that at that moment. Now I'm applying some adhesive only onto the cardstock, so you want to be seeing it later on, and I'm tucking the house behind the hill, and this is how it looks at the moment. I have also cut out one of the labels from the set, and I'm going to stick it down behind the acetate panel. I think it looks a bit like a cloud. Because the card is see-through, that label adds interest not only to the entire scene but also to the back panel itself when you open it up. So to finish off that scene, I'm also going to add some die cuts from the set. I'm going to use one larger tree cut out of plain white cardstock, as well as a couple of smaller trees. There's an interesting hack about that smaller tree. You see that it has a negative pattern inside, and actually the die cut it creates looks a lot like a baby pine tree. So this is exactly the way that I'm going to use them on this card. So this is what the finished card looks like. It's perfectly flat and can be mailed in an envelope, but it has a lot of interest. There is also plenty of room inside the card at the bottom to add the message. And of course it's good not only for holidays but for any winter occasion like birthday or anything else. So the next card is going to be super simple. I have a side folding card base, also the standard A2 size, and I'm going to cover up the entire card front with the patterned paper from the pad. For this card design, you can use different color combinations using this set. So I have chosen a contrasting piece of paper, and I have created a strip that is about 1 inch wide, and I'm going to stick it down onto the card front. Next, I'm also going to attach a label, and I have backed it up with the white cardstock just like I normally do, and I'm going to mount it onto that strip using some foam squares. Now I'm going to attach some white die cuts right onto that strip of paper. That is super simple, but they are going to add some texture, and they are going to create more contrast as well. Those die cuts are also a great way to add that handmade touch to a card that has a lot of printed pattern on it. This is how easy and simple this project is to create, and it's also perfect for mass production. There are also a couple more cards that I created with this set featuring stamping, and I would like to show them to you. Here I have stamped the car image a few times. I colored some of the images, applied glossy accents, and added a label. By the way, the car itself is Ford Anglia. This is the same model as the flying car from Harry Potter. This house-shaped card is created by using window and door stamps as well as the topiaries. I have colored the images with white, brown and green pencils. Now let's have a look at all 4 projects that we have created today. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. It turned out to be a bit long, so thank you so much for your patience and your interest. The project number 14 of the series is coming out soon, and I really hope to see you all again. Have a beautiful day.